the thing is like this world has been a moving target when it comes to internet marketing, right? Like it's like every single 6-month cycle, something massive changes, right? Like Google slaps along the way. That seemed like it was an every 6-month thing, right? Always moving the ball.
Yeah,
right?
but here's this thing. The basics of business don't change, though. You need to make more money than you spend, right? That's always the case.
Right.
If you spend $1, you want to make $2, you have statistics. And so maybe the way we go about getting our statistics changes and the techniques to get them more efficient changes, but the basics are always the same. You're not going to have, sales copy, and good sales copy doesn't change, right? People's fears don't necessarily change too much.
Selling styles have changed. I've seen that change over 20 years.
Yeah, but you still, the old school long form sales letter still works, right? Because you really got what's going on with people's heads, right? What they need, and the same basics go in. Like, for example, if you're writing copy, if you got a client and you're doing their website, and you don't please don't ask a client for copy if you want to keep them for any period of time, because what happens is that they give you the copy, you make something that looks good, and they go, well, why didn't it convert? Well, because you wrote the copy, and because most clients will tell you everything about them. I'm the best at this. I went to school here. I did this. I can do this. And there's one word in there that clients don't, customers don't care about, which is because they care about them. They want to know what's in it for them. And so they don't really care where you went to school or how cute you are, or what your hair looks like, or if you've got social media fans or whatnot. They just want to know what's in it for me. And if you can't give them that what's in it for me in 3 seconds or less, they click and they're gone. So, that's what I'm talking about, Damien, is that kind of stuff. So you have to really look at your market and really understand what is the problem you're solving for someone. And I don't care what you're selling, you're solving a problem, right? I mean, even if the problem is boredom, there's a problem that's being solved. So when I realized that was the case, and this is really funny because, I work with Frank Kern, right? And I've worked with, and Perry Belcher.
Uncle Frank, get it right, Uncle Frank.
Yeah. And Ryan Dice, and, all the big guys. And I kind of got angry one day, and I'm like, I am so much better than, like, ask Frank to write to put a WordPress page up. Just ask him, right? Or to hook up his Infusionsoft, or any of these kind of things. I originally taught him Facebook ads, right? I went head to head with him. And he goes, wow, you blew me away. And I said, well, I wasn't going to tell you, but I'll tell you why. And he goes, why? I said, because you only targeted women who like women, and I targeted everybody else. And he did it as a mistake, right? But nonetheless, I'm just saying, so why does a guy like that, or a Perry or a Ryan, make more money than I do? It didn't make any sense to me. But there was one thing that they did that I didn't do well, which was write copy. And that's the one skill. If that's the one skill that if you can do, it doesn't matter if you can do anything else. That's the skill that can get you through. So I said, well, I better learn this, or I better get better at it. And so as an agency owner, okay, you either have to have a really badass copywriter on your staff, or you need to know how to do it, or at least know how to recognize what good copy is or not. Because now with the new AI tools, I have figured out one of my hacks, which is being able to use AI to help me improve sales copy. I've even had it go ahead and where I had, you're trying to close a sale, right? And you don't want to get a guy angry, but you want it to come in now and not tomorrow. And so I kind of just said to the AI, like, be my business, business coach. I said, so I got this guy and I really wanted to pay for it at the end of the month, and I gave him this and and I just kind of like down, like, sorry, my cats sometimes do argue with each other. Anyway, so I put this whole thing in and just said, like, I got to send him an email and I want him to pay today. What do you suggest? And oh my God, I got the best. I mean, it would have taken me 2 hours to write this, and I would have agonized, and I would have backspaced, and I would have changed words, and I would have whatever. I mean, I did change a little bit of it, but for the most part, in 5 minutes, I sent that off and I didn't have to think about it. And of course, the check did come that day.
Now that is interesting, right? This is not marketing copy. This is a pay me today copy, but do it in a way that's going to make sure I get paid today.
And yeah, and not piss off the client, right?
And not piss off. That's brilliant. I like
Yeah.
that. There's a nugget for you guys right there.
Yeah. So, sometimes you want something and the person you're selling wants something else. And you have to figure out a way of getting the agreement without it being, an issue. And so I've been pretty consistently using the AI to just help me, like, I got this going on, and this is the stats, and this is what I did, and da 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 da. And then you tell it to act like a marketing, whatever. Like, give me some suggestions, and it'll give you like 10 suggestions. You go, no, that one sucks. Oh, that's a good idea. Let me flesh that one out. So it's also like having a smart assistant or a smart whatever. And here's the thing: the thing I love the most about it, it costs nothing or next to nothing, and will never get sick, won't break up with his girlfriend, and come in all messed up to work the next day.
Or the girlfriend coming in going all crazy the next day.
Right. You don't have anything to worry about as far as that goes. You want to work at 2:00 in the morning. No one's saying you're slave labor. On and on and on. So I have cut my workload in half. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's actually nuts. I mean, when you can quantify half your workload, you're either gaining half your life back, or you should be doubling your revenue.
Right now, I'm doubling my revenue. Yeah, I'm doubling my revenue, but I'm working on the life part. But yeah, I mean, but I'm just having so much fun with it because it's so geeky and fun and whatnot. I mean, you want to write, you want an SEO tip? Go ahead and ask ChatGPT to be an SEO expert, and that you want an SEO optimized article with bullet points and H1 and H2 and whatnot, and give it the keyword. Hit the enter key, go get a cup of coffee. When you come back, it's done.
Yeah, it's wild. It really is wild.
Yeah. So it's good. But here's the thing. It's only as good as the person who's driving it, right? So you have to know what you know. If you don't know how to drive it, it doesn't matter, so but that's that. But anyway, that's the thing. So, it allows you to have a lot more high quality output, right, when it comes content wise. The other thing is that it also kind of solves a personnel problem that I've always run into. So I have what I call an elastic organization. Now, a lot of guys want to scale their businesses really big, right? I tried it. I didn't find it that enjoyable, because I found it very hard to get others to know as much as I did. So there would be, quality control issues, but it was my name on it. And this is just my own personal preference. Now, I have other people that I taught to do local optimization, and gave them a resource where they could outsource all the work, right? And all they end up being is the project manager and the interface with the clients and collecting the money and giving, so they knew that this SEO service that's being done by a third party is $129 a month, but that I can charge $400 a month for it. And that works well if that's the type of agents you have. But because of the type of clients I've had, like the Frank Kerns and whatnot, I can't outsource. You know what I mean? But if it was, Zippy's Pizzeria and, XYZ dentist and this, that, and the other, the tech of doing that is not much different. So it can be, you can put an SOP together and you can outsource it, and that's that. But here's a rule of thumb. And this one you should write down. For what it costs you to deliver a service, including your own labor, you should be charging 4 times that. And don't charge any less, because there's always going to be a mess up and things will have to be redone. So if you charge 4 times that and you figure you're paying the one, and then you probably might have to do it twice, still then looking at least a minimum of a 50% margin.
Ah,
Yeah, I call that, pardon me, okay, I'm going to say a bad word. Is that okay?
yeah, please.
Okay, it's the fuck up factor. And let's face it, if you're dealing with humans, there's the fuck up factor. It just happens.
Yeah.
So rather than get angry at the fuck up factor, then just build it in. Just build it into the pricing. You know, if it doesn't happen, well, then you got a couple extra bucks in your pocket. Otherwise, you don't. The second thing that you should be looking at is, do you have a client that is causing you stress? Calling you constantly, texting, not happy, asking for more, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what you do with those guys? You fire them. You fire them and you tell them to go somewhere else. Now you might
And
think
you can be nice about it, but you get it done.
yeah. But I mean, but what happens is they demand so much extra time from you that you end up neglecting the really good guys that are clients.
Yeah.
And then they get angry, and they're legitimately angry for a reason. And that would be the case. I mean, because you're trying to please somebody who you can't please.
Now, question for you on that, because I've talked to some agency owners that, let's say they had a client that was $5,000 a month, and it's a pretty substantial piece of their revenue. They don't want to lose that. Client drives them absolutely bonkers. They're the ideal fire me candidate, right? But it's also, maybe it's 25% of the revenue across 6 clients. So that's kind of dangerous, right? And so what I've heard people advise to, let's use your example, maybe triple. You know, we're going to be doing some new things. It's going to take some more hands-on for you to be able to continue engagement with me. We're going up to $14,000 a month. And they either take it and you deal with the misery, or figure out how to put someone else in the place of dealing with that, because now you're really getting paid.
That's a good solution.
What do you agree? What do you recommend?
Well, it really depends on who it is. Now, a lot of times a client is giving you that much trouble because they so desperately need you to make them money that if you don't make them the money, that they've just given you their mortgage payment or their rent.
That's the big
issue. Right. Okay. And if that's the case, they really should be going off doing other stuff because they so desperately need it. It's, I don't know, you want to say the spiritual thing or whatever, but if you really, 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 really have to have something, you never have it. I mean, do you ever want to go out with a girl and you just wanted it so bad that, you know, she would never say yes. But in another case, you'd be like, whatever. And it worked out just fine.
Well, in the car business, not that I was in the car business, but boy, did I hear a lot of them. They call it commission breath. You know, it's when you are so desperate, you can't sell yourself out of a paper bag just because it's so desperate, right?
So it's a similar like that. And Ed said in the chat, 80-20% of your clients will demand 80% of your time. And that's right. And that's the Pareto principle. And that does apply in a lot of cases, but you look at it and you decide if that's what you're willing to have or not. Now, you asked me another question that I didn't answer, and I'm going to answer that right now. And the question is, well, what would you do if it was such a substantial amount of your income? Well, I have made this mistake so many times, including most recently 3 or 4 months ago. Okay, saying, well, you know, I need the money and blah, blah, blah. And I was a little fearful. And every time I've taken that leap of faith and just said, I'm out, I've doubled my money within 2 weeks.
Okay, you got to take me through that.
It's the weirdest thing. It's almost like when that kind of whammy is off the lines, other business comes in. I did this. Okay, I'll tell you a story.
Is this a universe thing? Like, you know,
I don't know.
Karma coming your way?
It's happened so many damn times. I can't explain it other than
is it science?
It's, you could say it's foo-foo, but I've done it, I mean, in 20 some odd years, I've done it over and over again. I'll give you a good example. right? I told you I had that client that I fired finally, and things were going a little bit better, but I also realized I was in a partnership that was a little rough for me. And sorry, there's Patty. She's come to visit.
Hi, Patty.
Yeah. And as soon as I said, I'm out and I want to sell this thing, first $10,000 client came in. The next day, a $2,500 client came in. The other night, I was just like sitting, like watching TV and a little tired. And I said, well, what am I going to do this week? I don't have a really good income lineup. Like, I got some stuff I wrote on a piece of paper, but it's, I know it's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's not going to really come in, but I'm writing something down. And I said, I just need something randomly to come in. Right. And I thought that.
You little think and grow rich it there. You thought
Right.
Came,
And
right?
then and no, and I'm like, I have no idea what it's coming from or what I'm going to do. And look down on my phone. And I get this text from this guy, Dutch. And I don't know if you know Dutch, Dutch and Amy who do the events and whatnot. You might know them.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I haven't talked to Dutch since 2017. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, Dutch, is this the same Dutch? Is this somebody else? And I look back and I'm like, damn, it's Dutch. So I call Dutch. I call him up. He goes, yeah, we've just grown. I've got 2 phone rooms. We've got 60 people in each of them. I've got all this other stuff going on. I need you to come in and consult and take care of, and audit our ads accounts and give me the social strategy and, look at all the, he says, send me your typical, retainer invoice, which was $10,000. And like, it's in my account already. This is like 3 days ago. So I can say with complete certainty that when you get that kind of stuff off the line, it opens up you to being able to have or see.
So let me work on this a minute, because I totally get you're thrown down, and I can actually personally relate as well. And I'll give you the personal relation, and then I'll go massage what you're saying here real quick for everybody. So,
right.
Like over the course of 30 years of my career, navigating through 500 million plus in revenue,
right,
I have had some significant downfalls, right? Significant setbacks. And you're right. My business partner of 20 plus years would tell me, I don't know what the hell it is, but every time we're way up against the wall, or every time we're really, really faced, are we going to make the $260,000 payroll next week? Right. It seems that this is what we used to call it. We used to call it a chip, like, like gambling and you're on the table, poker chips. There's always a chip that presents itself that creates new opportunity where you're able to suffer or sustain the setback, right? And I'm going to go ahead and say that probably has happened to me 20 some odd times over the course of 30 years, if not more, right? So here's what I'm going to massage a little bit of what you were saying. And so sometimes freeing up the energy that you spend for the $5,000 customer a month, number one, puts you in a mind space that might have your receptors open to actually see the opportunity that comes by and smacks you in the face. That's
very possibly what it is.
Right? Yeah,
very, very well could be. All I know is for me, that every time that this, and it's kind of magical, and I'll be like, and I, the first time it happens, you're like, okay, that's cool. Third time it happens, you go, okay, well, that's an interesting coincidence. But, 40 times, 50 times over the course of 15 or 20 years, you go, okay, there's something more to that.
Yeah, well, there is. And we all have had, and again, sorry, we're getting all psychological on you guys.
Oh, I know. But
here's the thing, we've all had that moment where we'd never see Volkswagens, and then all of a sudden mom gets a Volkswagen, friend gets a Volkswagen. Now all I see are yellow Volkswagens, or all I see are specific, right? Our brain, you know what the verb is for this, Laura? Stay hungry. Stay hungry, because in those moments of setback, we get a little hungrier, not like the hungry negative way that we're looking desperate, but really wanting to make a change in course of in the course of direction. So we're open to opportunity. We say yes. We look, we call, we pick up the phone and maybe make a few more calls, send a few more emails, respond to some people we haven't in 2 months, call some more of that pipeline. Stay hungry might be the verb instead of just only in the setback moments.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, I've seen it over and over again where it just works.
Well, that's awesome.
So that's
By the
that.
way, congratulations on that deal, because I know they're blowing up big time. So that's
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to do with them. It's great. I'm really excited. I'm really excited because not only is it a great project and I love doing that type of work, but I really like the people involved. So, that's just always an extra, a bonus. And they're here, like where I am in Tampa. They're very local. So there's that too. So there you go. So